Hey guys, Seth here to help you level up your Phantom. This time, we're going to take a look at some filament. I've got HH3D Plastics PLA here, and at just over $20 a kilogram US, it's some of the cheapest plastic out there. But, we're going to take a look at how it stacks up. Spoiler alert, it's better than the Empire. Alright guys, thanks for sticking around. Now, HH3D Plastics is a US-based filament company. I was turned on to them by Andy over at Hey Andy Prints. Go over and check out his YouTube channel. All HH3D Plastics does is 1.75 millimeter PLA plastic. That's it. That's all that they do. And that affords them a lot of freedom in that they can really fine-tune their PLA. They don't have to worry about having this broad spectrum of plastic that they're trying to cater to. The plastic itself is actually really nice. It is PLA, so it's gonna have kind of a stiff feeling to it, but it's rough to the texture. It's not like Hatchbox. Hatchbox on the spool is very smooth plastic and filament. H&H3D Plastics have kind of this textured sort of filament. It prints really nicely. I've printed, as you can see, in the gray pretty extensively. I've printed in the white as well. They're really nice and consistent, and what's great about only doing 1.75 millimeter PLA is that you can create extremely consistent plastic. That means that the gray and the white and the blue and the black will all print exactly the same. You almost don't have to worry about changing any of your settings when you switch between these PLA, which is really nice. It's really convenient. I've printed pretty extensively. You can see, I've got Imperial Shuttle, Classic Benchy, which I'm going to be printing for all of my filament test pieces. I've even printed most of a Hawk Moon from Destiny with this, and the barrel I think is a really good example of the quality of the plastic, because the feather insets and the lines on it make for a really nice print that you can use to test your plastics. And then I printed some dice in the white as part of an upcoming paint showdown video, so you'll be able to see that. But what is of note here is that the white is really easily paintable, as is the gray. PLA tends to be pretty paintable, so it's really nice, and it's really nice to see that level of consistency all the way across the board. I always print at 210 degrees Celsius with a little bit higher retraction settings than I'm used to with this, because I like the flow rate that gives, and that lets me print a little bit faster. But I'm positive that contributes heavily to my oozing issue. Once I dialed in the retraction settings to combat the higher temperature, works fine. And I personally like to print at that higher temperature. 210C is a little high for PLA, generally, but it works great for me and might be a good fit for you. I would probably start at 200C, see how that plays out, go up or down depending on your printer and your hot end and all that good stuff. So, how does it print, you might be asking? Well, the plastic tends to be a little droopier than usual. It oozes a little bit more than, say, like my Hatchbox filament or something, color fab. It oozes a little more than those, but it still prints really nicely, and the surface finish is really nice. Because of the extra little bit of ooziness, the blobs and little zits and weird stringing and stuff like that tends to be considerably higher with this filament than it does with, say, my color fab. That being said, the filament quality is actually really top notch. The prints end up with this really nice finish quality, and the surface quality is amazing on them. Okay, so let's talk about Benchy for a minute. I printed this 210 degrees Celsius with no fan on the filament, or on the print. I think it turned out really nice. I was pleasantly surprised to see how Benchy turned out on this printer. Now, you can see here the text on the back is visible but it's very difficult to read, and more importantly, it's mirrored, because with this print I realized that my Delta printer's X and Y motors were in the wrong slots, so the prints always turned out fine, but things were mirrored because the axes were switched. Only an issue on Delta printer. I fixed it, all that good stuff, but because of that, the text is backwards, so it's even harder to read, and my printer itself wasn't quite functioning up to par. So the text is not super readable because I think my printer just wasn't handling it too well. Moving on to like the front, you can see on the front of the benchy where the steepest angle on the bow of the ship is, didn't fare too well. The filament tended to sag a little bit, didn't stick to the layers above, that kind of stuff, which comes from kind of a filament cooling point, and my printer's axes weren't quite lined up perfectly, so definitely could have been better, but I'm really happy with it. There's plenty of blobs and zits and stuff that you can see around the hull of the ship, which is fine. I didn't do any cleanup on this at all, and just pulled it straight off the printer, and boom, here we are. So you can see that the direct overhangs and bridges actually worked out great. The pinnacles of the circles, the window, and the doors have a little bit of sagging, just a little bit, and the front window, that cross piece on the top, has a little bit of sagging as well, but well within acceptable parameters. Especially without a cooling fan. If I had a fan cooling this filament as it was going across this bridge, I'm sure it would look 1,000 times better. The steering wheel looks great, the layer lines look great, and you can see on the front of the ship there, the actual layer lines going up the front of the ship, I think look great. It's a very aesthetically pleasing set of layers, which is a testament to the filament a little bit, and my printer, and this model. But all in all the overhangs worked out great. They look great. Benchy printed amazingly for not having a cooling fan on, and just a regular old cheap PLA filament. I think this is one of the best benchies I've seen, and I know it's one of the best that I've printed. So, moment of truth. Would I recommend HH3D Plastics PLA? Pardon my French, but hell yes. This plastic is amazing, especially for the price. It's $21 US for a kilogram of some of the best plastic I've ever printed in. Short of color fab, and perhaps even some of the ultra high-end plastics, proto pasta, that kind of stuff. This is the best plastic I've ever used. I've used MakerBot, which is double the price, mind you, for not even as much plastic. It's mind-blowingly good for the price. I can't say enough good things about it. I tell all my friends about it already. I'm telling you guys about it. Head over to hh3dplastics.com, pick up some 1.75mm PLA, and you will thank me for it later. This plastic is spectacular for the price. The color selection is a little bit limited. They've got, I don't know, maybe a dozen or so colors, which is plenty, because it's super easily paintable, and it prints absolutely amazingly. Absolutely worth checking out. This has instantly become my go-to PLA for random things. If I don't need something super high quality, or if I don't need anything like absolutely finished straight off the build plate, or if I need any specialty filaments. They won't do any specialty filaments like, metal fills or wood fills, any of that. It's just pure, straight up PLA, and it is some of the best PLA I've ever printed with. So that's that, guys. Thanks for sticking around. I do need to mention that these spools of filament were not given to me. I'm not paid for any of this. I bought all of this plastic with my own money, and these opinions are wholly my own. Not that they wouldn't be happy to hear that their plastic is amazing, but give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Give me a subscribe if you want to see more of these videos, and I will see you guys in the next video.